The land down under, Australia. While it's famed for its breathtaking landscapes, adorable kangaroos, and diverse culture, moving there isn't all sunshine and koalas. There are challenges that come with the beautiful vistas and laid-back lifestyle, so brace yourself for the top 10 reasons you'll regret moving to Australia. Number 10. Distance. Australia is quite literally on the other side of the world, if you're moving from North America or Europe. This distance poses challenge in various ways. Firstly, the flight to get there is lengthy, often involving at least one stopover, and it can be physically exhausting. Secondly, this distance also implies you'll be far away from family and friends. The time zone difference might make maintaining those relationships challenging. The simple joy of a spontaneous phone call can become an intricate dance around the time zones. Lastly, homesickness can be a real issue. Being far away from the familiar settings and people might bring about feelings of loneliness and isolation, especially during holidays or personal milestones. Number 9. Wildlife. While Australia is known for its unique wildlife, it's not always cute and cuddly as one might think. From venomous spiders to snakes, there's an array of creatures that might be alarming to newcomers. In addition, the presence of these animals isn't limited to the wilderness. It's quite common to find spiders in your home or a kangaroo in your backyard. Dealing with these unexpected visitors can become a regular chore. Lastly, let's not forget about the marine life. Beaches are a big part of Australian lifestyle, but the presence of sharks, jellyfish, and other dangerous creatures can pose a risk to those unfamiliar with the precautions needed. Number 8. Cost of living. The cost of living is a significant consideration when moving to Australia. Cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and even Perth can be quite costly when it comes to housing. The soaring real estate market makes purchasing a house a considerable investment. Renting isn't much cheaper either, with city centers and popular suburbs commanding high prices. Beyond housing, everyday expenses in Australia are also high. Grocery bills can be surprisingly steep, as the cost of both local and imported goods is higher due to transportation and import costs. Similarly, utilities such as electricity and water can be pricier due to the country's climate and infrastructure. The cost of healthcare is another substantial factor. While Australia has a comprehensive public healthcare system known as Medicare, there are out-of-pocket expenses. For services not covered by Medicare, private insurance is needed, which is another added cost. Dental care, certain specialist services, and prescription medications, for instance, can be quite expensive. Moreover, transportation can significantly add to your cost of living. Owning a car includes expenses like fuel, maintenance, and insurance, which are higher than in many other countries. Public transport, although comprehensive in urban areas, can add up as well, especially for families. Number 7. Climate. Australia's climate is diverse and extreme. Summers can be scorching hot, especially in cities like Perth and Adelaide, making it uncomfortable for those accustomed to cooler climates. The flip side of the coin is the Australian winter. While not as severe as the winters in North America or Europe, houses in Australia are generally not built to retain heat, which can make winters seem colder indoors. Then there's the risk of natural disasters like bushfires, cyclones, and floods, which are relatively common in Australia. Being prepared for these and understanding local emergency plans is crucial. Number 6. Work culture. Australia's work culture is distinct, and it can take some getting used to. While it's generally laid back, it also highly values punctuality, initiative, and a balance between work and life. Workplace communication is typically direct, but also places a high emphasis on camaraderie and humor. For those accustomed to a more formal work environment, this can be a little daunting at first. Additionally, the job market in Australia is competitive. Depending on your field, finding a job might be challenging, and certain occupations may require local certification or training. Number 5. Healthcare system. Australia has a robust healthcare system, combining both public and private providers. However, understanding how it works and navigating it can be confusing for newcomers. While Medicare provides a wide range of health services for free or at low cost, not everything is covered. Often, private health insurance is necessary for services like dental, optical, and certain specialist treatments. For temporary residents or certain visa holders, access to Medicare is limited, making private health insurance more of a necessity than a choice. This can add significantly to your cost of living. Number 4. Driving. Driving in Australia is another challenge for newcomers, especially if you're coming from a country where you drive on the right-hand side of the road. Adjusting to driving on the left can take time. Additionally, Australian road rules may differ from what you're used to, including unique rules about speed limits, roundabouts, and interacting with wildlife on the roads. Lastly, the sheer scale of Australia means long distances between locations. Public transport options can be limited, especially outside of big cities, making owning a car almost necessary. Number 3. Cultural adjustments. Australia's unique culture and ethos is something that you might take time to adjust to. The colloquial language, or slang, is a significant part of this. Phrases like "she'll be right" or words like "brekkie" and "Barbie" might leave newcomers scratching their heads. Aussies have a way of shortening many words, and getting a handle on this can be both a fun and challenging aspect of the transition. Australian humor is distinct, marked by its irreverence, irony, and dry wit. It often involves a lot of self-deprecation and sarcasm, which can be a bit disconcerting if you're not used to it. Misunderstandings can occur if you're not familiar with this style of humor. Understanding the deeper culture of Australia also means acknowledging and learning about the country's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. This includes their history, beliefs, languages, and their connection to the land and sea. Respect for Indigenous cultures is a vital aspect of integrating into Australian society. Moreover, Australia is culturally diverse, with people from many different ethnic backgrounds. This multiculturalism is reflected in everything from food to festivals. It's essential to be open and to be respectful of this diversity, to fully embrace the Australian way of life. Number 2. Visa process. Securing a visa is usually one of the most challenging aspects of moving to Australia. There are various types of visas, including work visas, student visas, family visas, and retirement visas. Each has its own set of eligibility requirements, application procedures, and fees. For many visas, you'll need to go through the points-based immigration system, which considers factors like age, English language proficiency, work experience, and education. Meeting the maximum point requirement can be challenging, and even if you do, it's not a guarantee that you'll get a visa. In addition, the visa application process is often lengthy and involves a lot of paperwork. It may include identity documents, health and character checks, proof of financial means, and in some cases, evidence of health insurance. It's also worth noting that Australia's immigration laws and regulations change quite often. Changes can affect visa eligibility, requirements, and processing time. It's important to keep up to date with the latest information, which can be a task in itself. Another challenge is that if you're moving with family, you'll need to consider visas for each family member, which can complicate the process even further. Number 1. School system. If you're moving to Australia with children, navigating the school system will be a significant part of your transition. Australia has a complex education system with both public and private institutions, each having its own set of advantages and disadvantages. The school year in Australia runs from late January to mid-December, with holidays typically in April, July, and September. This is significantly different from countries where the academic year begins in September and ends in the summer, which could mean a mid-year transition for your children. Schooling in Australia is mandatory from ages 6 to 16, generally covering primary and secondary school. The curriculum can differ from state to state, which might pose a challenge if you're moving between states or if your children have special education needs. School zoning is another aspect that could make your move tricky. Many public schools have designated intake areas, and your residential address often determines the school to which your children can go. This might affect where you choose to live, as the quality of schools can vary significantly. In addition to this, navigating the registration and enrollment process can be challenging, especially when considering documents from your home country. You may need to provide academic records, birth certificates, and potentially have documents translated. Lastly, if you're considering private or religious schools, these have their own set of requirements. They also usually have tuition fees, which can be quite high. The choice between public, private, and religious schools can be a significant decision, adding another layer of complexity to your move. So there you have it, folks, the top 10 challenges you might face when moving to Australia. It's important to remember, though, that while there might be some hurdles along the way, the rewards can be incredibly fulfilling. An adventurous spirit, openness to new experiences, and a love for Vegemite will undoubtedly make your transition smoother. Until next time, stay curious.